A really sad day. I woke up today with some pretty sad news on my brain. Something that I saw yesterday, in which a football coach shot another football coach, and this coach ended up dead. And another one's going to get some time in prison, most likely. And I'm going to talk about this, when brothers kill brothers and just what this means to the community. I'm going to talk about it from not just a family standpoint, but really talk about it from a wealth standpoint. So get comfortable, welcome, seatbelt. We're going to get started on drboystv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones too late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boys TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I hope you guys are having a good day. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Welcome to drboystv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. And today, I'm kind of having some mixed emotions because I saw this story yesterday that really made me sad. And it involves a guy named Mike Hickmon, who is now deceased, who was a football coach who was apparently killed by another football coach. And it's just sad. It's really sad. I'm going to kind of give you some angles on this in terms of how to think about it. And for those of you that are used to me always having economic and wealth conversations, or that's what you look for, I just want to tell you that when you talk about the survival of Black men, that's a huge wealth conversation, because you can't build no wealth when you're dead. It's a massive wealth conversation because you can't build wealth if you're in prison for the next 40 years. It's a massive wealth conversation because a family has a hard time building wealth when the father, the primary provider, is gone. So I just want to start off there and let you guys know that this is something that is, it breaks my heart, and I really think it's something worth talking about. Now, do me a favor. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. I see some of you, someone in here said no sound. Latasha says no sound. Give me a yes in the chat. Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me okay. Also, hello to everybody on Instagram. My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins, so I want to acknowledge you guys. I may put a couple images up on the screen. And you may not see those images, but if you'd like to see the images, you can go to drboystv.com or hit the link in the bio. Okay, so Dennis and Robert and came my way, and Lukman and Gregory and Valencia and Carolyn. I appreciate you telling me you can hear me. I get a little nervous when people say you can't hear. Then I start checking the audio and everything else. So that makes me feel better. And do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. And before we begin, I want to do a public service announcement that I have to do on a regular basis. I hate having to distract from the conversation, but there are people apparently who are pretending to be me. I guess they have these scammer factories out there that they have fake Boyce Watkinses on staff that will message you in your inbox. And some of you in here, give me a yes if you've been hit by some of these people. They will message you in your inbox and ask you to call them on WhatsApp or connect with me on this crypto thing. That ain't me. They will take your money. They have taken some of you for thousands of dollars, and it breaks my heart. So I need to do this public service announcement just to make sure everybody's safe. If you see it happen, report that account and block them. Do not talk to them any further. Or if you think it might be me, then ask for like a Zoom meeting, a face-to-face Zoom or something. And they're not going to show up. I promise you. All right. So anyway, let's dig into the conversation. Give me a yes or no if you saw this story yesterday with this brother, Mike Hickmon. A brother named Mike Hickmon was killed by another brother, brother. And I'm sorry, I know that we have a whole political people that make everything political, and they have these political debates on black crime and whether or not black on black crime exists. I'm going to just say, look, I'm not here to tell you what your politics need to be. That's not my thing. But I am here to say that it bothers me. And give me a yes if you agree. Give me a yes if you can at least hear what I'm saying and I can still be loved. It bothers me when Black men kill Black men. And I know, don't get me wrong. We know Black people get killed by cops. Every now and then, one of these radical extremists, a white boy, go kill some Black people. We know that happens. But it really bothers me also when a Black man goes through the hood and shoots a little girl on a tricycle. That bothers me just as much as when a cop kills a Black man. It ain't like I don't care about death. when the shooter is black. Yeah, it bothers me all the time. It bothers me equally because the death is the same. There's not scales of death that God administers like, well, because you were killed by a cop, you got a double death. And because you were shot by a gangbanger, you got only a half a death. No, death is death. And to me, when you talk about terms, see, you got these terms out here that people use a lot, like Black Lives Matter, right? They use that term Black Lives Matter and they politicized it. I just think Black Lives Matter. That means that all the Black Lives matter. Like we, if no matter how you died, I'm concerned. I'm not going to just ignore it when it's a shooting in Chicago and then get all riled up when it's a police shooting in Minnesota. I can't distinguish between the two. And also other little political terms, like you talk about terms like Planned Parenthood. I say, yeah, Planned Parenthood is a great idea. So plan who the hell you sleep with. Don't be sleeping with no losers who ain't going to take care of their kids. Don't be sleeping with no thoughts who ain't going to be good mothers. Like, plan your parenthood. Protect your seed, black man. Protect your womb, black woman. Right? So those terms, to me, Black Lives Matter and Planned Parenthood, those are very meaningful terms, but it's like you got to have some damn common sense. I don't know. Shout out to people who have common sense, because politics ain't got a lot of common sense. It gets very extreme. So with that said, let me jump in and talk about the specifics of this particular incident. So there is a brother by the name of Mike Hickmon. And Mike Hickmon was a youth football coach. Let me see. I don't have the city or the state in front of me. I should have all that. If I was a real journalist, I'd have all this information. Mike Hickmon, this brother, I'm gonna put him on the screen so we can properly respect and memorialize him. Mike Hickmon was, I guess, apparently there was some sort of argument that took place over a youth football game. And this was a game that involves, I guess, kids about 9-10 years old, from what I've read. And it got kind of out of control, and there was a fight. And during the fight, he was allegedly shot by another brother by the name of Yaqub. And ultimately, this brother actually that shot him happens to be the brother of a Dallas, Texas. Thank you, Dallas, Texas. They love football in Texas. Shout out to Texas football. They got the best football players in the world, the best track athletes in the world too. I'm a big fan of track and field. And next thing you know, there's one black man that's dead. The other one is driving off in his car, and it becomes a whole big thing. So in terms of speaking about the specifics of that death, I'm only going to say this. Number one, innocent till proven guilty. We don't know the circumstances. For all we know, it could have been self-defense. For all we know, somebody else could have pulled the trigger. I mean, I assume that the witnesses have already confirmed that who shot the guy, but it could have been anybody, right? Or anything could have happened, or it could have been any situation, right? So I'm not here to presume who is necessarily the bad guy. I will admit, though, my bias is to say that the guy who's in the casket wasn't the bad guy. But then again, maybe, there was something going on. Maybe there was some bullying going on and somebody pulled out a gun to defend themselves. So I'm not here to make that assumption one way or the other. However, here's where I am trying to jump in and really just have a conversation that I hope we can hear. I don't know about y'all, but it really bothers me that you had the death of a father, a husband, a grandfather over some goddamn youth football, kiddie football, little league, baby ass 9-year-olds who are supposed to be out here having fun. And we got grown ass men fighting over baby level football, children's football. I mean, come on, man. Are you kidding me right now? I get it. I know. I love football. When I was 9, I wanted to play really bad. My mother wouldn't let me. She didn't want me to get hit in the head over and over again. But I just don't understand this. And I'm trying my best to not be mean or critical here, but I really think that we have to take a moment, and this is where you pause, right? When something like this happens, we don't all have to own this, right? Most of us in here, in fact, give me a yes in the chat if you are a person who would probably never shoot anybody at a youth football game, right? Give me a yes in the chat if you are a person who would never punch somebody at a game or beat somebody's ass because the referee made a bad call. Give me a yes in the chat if you're not in that category. I want to just make that clear that I understand most of y'all wouldn't ever do anything like this at all. But you've seen it happen. You've seen games where the referees got their ass beat because they made a call that people didn't like. And you saw situations where the kids, I saw one video where the kids were beating up the referee and the parents were standing there watching. The parents were cheering them on, whoop his ass. Yeah, blah, blah. And this really speaks to a bigger issue that you have in your community. What you have in your community sometimes, in many cases, and I'm not putting this label on any of the individuals in this particular incident because I don't know these guys, but in the Black community, you do have a problem with the fact that you have a lot of 40-year-old teenagers. You have a problem with not just an overcommitment to hypermasculinity and violence, but also you have an issue with immaturity, a lack of vision, the inability to simply sit back and say, "Hey, man, we're here to set a good example for the kids, man. You know what, brother? Hey, I apologize. I'm gonna walk away." Or, "Hey, that was a terrible call. That ref made a really bad call. Man, come on, son. Let's get in the car. Let's go home. It's all right, son. You win some, you lose some. We about to get on out of here." The idea that these grown men, I really wish I knew why these grown ass 40-something-year-old men were fighting in front of a bunch of 9-year-olds. What happened with the 9-year-olds on the? I mean, I read from what I read, it was like they said something about a bad call, but there could be more. For all we know, somebody could have slept with somebody's wife. There could be a backstory. Somebody's gang affiliated, right? There could be more to it. But from what I have been reading, it looks like it was like the referee made a bad call and somebody lost the damn game, and it's 9-year-olds. I don't understand that. And so I'm going to kind of lay out something. And a lot of you don't understand that when I explain to you. Some of you get it. And I hope that all of us can. This is when, a lot of times you come here and you hear me have economic conversations, and I'll talk about something that like this. And somebody will say, "Well, Doc, just stick to finances. Doc, just stick to finances." Well, first of all, my response is kind of like, fuck you, because you can't tell me what to talk about. But then when I come back to my senses, I realize that it's a matter of explaining something to you. I am not a Black man, a finance professor who happens to be a Black man. I am a Black man who happens to be a finance professor. So anything that affects the Black male in America matters to me, period. It matters to me because that's more important than money. Some things are more important than money. Second of all, here's the third or second or third piece, whichever one you want to label this as. You don't understand part of the reason that Black wealth is declining in your community is because of the bullshit that's going on with your fathers. The men are gone. The men are disappearing. It ain't all our fault. We know what the CIA did when they put crack in the Black community. We know about Joe Biden's mass incarceration policies where he locked up more Black men than Hitler could have ever done in a lifetime. We know about all the things. We know about the toxic culture being promoted through record labels that's teaching Black men to pull out guns instead of taking the time to resolve a conflict like an intelligent human being. Right? We know about all this. The mass promotion of ignorance and violence. We know about these things. Right? But your men disappearing, that is as direct a channel to understanding why Black wealth is going away, because men typically in most communities are the primary breadwinners. The men are typically the ones who have the testosterone that makes them go out and conquer the world and to fight and win and build businesses and build empires. Not to say women can't do it. We know women are doing a lot out here, but a lot of stuff women are doing, to be quite frank with you, I hope I can say it and still be loved. I hope it doesn't sound sexist, but a lot of women are out here becoming kings and empire builders because the men ain't around to do it. Do you understand what I'm saying? There are a lot of women. I meet a lot of women who are millionaires and bosses and on top of the world. And they're like, "God, I had to do it this way because I didn't have no help." Where are the men? "Oh, well, your 35-year-old potential husband is running around sagging his pants trying to be a goddamn 18-year-old. Or he's running around thugging trying to be a player and doing all kinds of stuff that is typically reserved for teenagers." Your growth, Black man, to some extent has been stunted. And it's been stunted by the society in which you live. It's not just now. It's happened all throughout history. When Malcolm X's bodyguard, when they interviewed him, he cried when he talked about Malcolm's death. And they said, why are you crying? He said, well, because around Malcolm, I got a chance to be a man. He said, in America, they want the black man to remain a little boy. Now, I want you to think about that. They want the black man to remain a little boy. So here you got grown men responsible for the leadership of little boys. And I'm sure they did a wonderful job leading them on the football field, explaining to them what a nickel defense is, explaining to them how to go run pass routes, explaining to them how to throw the ball back down the football field. But did you teach them how to play the game of life? What are you teaching them about how to be successful in the real? I'm not talking about the real competition. I'm talking about the competition where that white man's going to have his foot on your neck until the grave. If you don't come correct, if you don't show up with some knowledge in your brain and some wealth in your bank account and some courage in your heart, if you don't show up ready, you're going to lose. And I know a lot of athletes who are absolute warriors on the football field, but little punk ass, wimpy little bitches when it comes to succeeding in the game of life. And it's not their fault. I look at the man who trained you. I'm sitting there thinking, who trained you? Because I'm going to tell you like this. My daddy was a warrior. My father was a warrior. He knew I was a good athlete, but he didn't care nothing about no sports. He didn't. My father was a Vietnam veteran. He's a police officer. He's killed people in his life, and he taught me mental toughness. You don't back down from bullies. You fight for what you want. If you don't go out and take it, somebody's going to take it from you. And these are things that were reinforced when I played sports, because I learned in sports values about hard work and discipline and determination and consistency. And all these things you see, if you've been following me, you're seeing these ideas being played out on a daily basis. Every day I get up ready to fight for what I believe should be happening, what I believe should be happening on my side of the field. So there's a value that you can gain from sports that can prepare you for the game of life. But I see too many athletes, former athletes, who for whatever reason, they turn on the big, strong, masculine warrior when they're on the football field, but they become wimpy little losers when they get into the game of life. And it's not their fault all the time. It's because they weren't coached on the game of life. So to me, what I'm thinking here, here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to get back to this. I'm going to get off my high horse. I'm not trying to put nobody down or nothing. I'm trying to understand. If I am a 9-year-old and I'm in a football league and that's being led by 40-year-old men, I know I'm going to learn how to run and pass and jump and throw and win championships. I know I'm going to learn all these things in terms of sports. But my question is, what are you teaching me about being a man? What are you teaching me about the fact that I'm going to spend more time being a husband, father, and leader of a family than I'm going to spend catching footballs for the Dallas Cowboys? Most of those kids ain't never going to make a nickel playing football. So to me, this is bigger than sports. This is the opportunity to say, hey, sometimes you get so mad that you want to just beat somebody's ass, but you have to learn emotional control. Or this poor guy, Yaqub, what's his name? Yaqub Talib. He's the brother of Aqib Talib, which I'm sure their family's devastated by all of this. How about a conversation about the fact that you can own a gun if you want to, but if you are not able to discipline your emotions, then guess what happens? You get in a situation where somebody done disrespected you. You run to the car, you pop the trunk, whatever. You go in the glove compartment, pull out that gun, and next thing you know, you've done something in the heat of anger that the white man is going to give you 50 years in a jail cell to think about. He's going to give you 50 years in a prison cell so you can think about that 2 minutes that could have changed everything. And this is real shit. You know why? Because I know a guy who just got out after 30 years in prison over an incident that happened where somebody got shot because another person got disrespected at the club. This happens all the time. All the time. So it's very important for us to take the time to understand what example we are setting for these young men. Now, I'm going to take a quick breather because it looks like the fake Boyce Watkins is in the chat. So let me go ahead and block him real quick. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe if you have not done that yet. Also, I want to remind everybody that tonight we're actually doing an event in the Black Business School called How to Become a Millionaire with 5 minutes a month. And it's pretty straightforward in terms of explaining the principles of wealth. It's free to everybody who's in the Black Business School. you can join the Black Business School for free. Just go to blackkeystogreatness.com. You can get free access to my life class. Also, you get free access to our Powernomics training that happens every Wednesday night at 8:30. So just go to blackkeystogreatness.com, sign up, and then today you will get a message from me with the link to join the event if you'd like to join us. Or you can pay the $99 fee to join the link, but you don't have to pay. Just join the Black Business School, do a free membership. All that's free, and it will benefit you. Okay. Excuse me. All right. So let me go ahead and show. I'm gonna show y'all something right quick. When I saw this incident with Yaqub Talib allegedly shooting Mike Hickmon at a Dallas youth football game, you know what it made me think about, to be honest with you, when we talk about the existence of the 40-year-old teenager in the Black community? It made me think about this. It made me think about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, and why that whole situation really bothered me. And I hear the whole conversation of, yeah, well, you can't disrespect a man's wife, and he shouldn't have been talking out. He should have kept his name out of his mouth and all. Okay, I hear all that. I don't get it completely because it didn't accomplish the goal. I'm into problem solving, and the way I see it, Will did not accomplish his goal of keeping his wife's name out of Chris's mouth, because Chris stopped talking about his wife, but everybody else started talking about his wife. So his wife's name is more in the mouths of more people than it was before he slapped Chris Rock. So he did not, in my view, really achieve the goal. But either way, though, here's the point. When I thought about Chris Rock and Will Smith, I'm looking at two men who are in their 50s, who literally are either grandfathers or close to becoming grandfathers, could be grandfathers. The brother that was shot, Mike Hickmon, was a grandfather. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, at what point do we even take a moment to realize that the way you solve a problem when you're 50 is different from the way you solve a problem when you're 20? I understand when you're 20, you punch somebody in the face. When you're 18, you get in a fight. When I was 16 years old, there was this boy that was messing with me. And one day I came to school pissed off. And you know what I did? I picked up a desk and I slammed it on his head. Right. And I didn't even I don't even regret it. I didn't even apologize. I never will apologize because he deserved that shit, in my opinion. I'm not going to lie. But now I'm not going to do that. I'm 50 years old. I'm not trying to go to jail. I'm not trying to handle a situation with violence that could have been handled without violence. I'm not trying to embarrass myself in front of my children. I'm not trying to get shot in front of my children. I'm not trying to get hauled off in handcuffs in front of my children. I'm not trying to do none of that. So what I'm asking you, what I'm really trying to help us understand here is that you have to take a moment and acknowledge the fact that part of the reason that the community struggles, part of the reason that Black wealth keeps dropping, part of the reason the Black family is disappearing is because you have, unfortunately, some toxic culture that is encouraging Black men to act like kids, even in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. And then also, I'm sitting there thinking, this brother Yaqub who carried that gun, I'm sorry, my buddy Maj Toure out of Philadelphia runs Black Guns Matter, and Maj is all about carrying a gun, and Maj carries a gun everywhere he goes. Everywhere he goes, Maj has a gun, but I bet you Maj will probably have something to say about the fact that when you carry the ability to be the arbiter of life and death in your pocket everywhere you go, you got a gun on your hip everywhere you go, you better learn some discipline and emotional control. You better learn some discipline. And I even wonder with this poor brother, he played football his whole life. I wonder if there is a brain damage issue. Because if you remember, first of all, a lot of football players have CTE. That's very prevalent. It's common, quite common. Number two, I think about Aaron Hernandez, who played for the New England Patriots. And he would get angry. And at the point of his anger, where most of us would say, okay, man, I'm not going to do nothing stupid. I'm not going to do nothing that's going to get me locked up. There was a part of his brain where that trigger did not go off. So literally that trigger didn't go off. So another trigger went off. So Aaron Hernandez, after winning the Super Bowl, while he's winning Super Bowls, I kid you not, was literally shooting people in the club. And the reason he didn't get caught for such a long time was because people were like, that's not possible. Why would a Super Bowl champion be at the club shooting people over nonsense? Well, it's because he had brain damage. And it was all confirmed. It was all proven. He had significant CTE. So partly in Yaqub's defense, without necessarily saying he is a bad person or he's guilty 100%, we don't know the situation. I really think we should have more conversations about CTE, and brain damage. I also think that Black parents or any parents who really care about their sons should just really take a moment and just ask yourself whether or not being on the football field is something your son has to do. I know that's a touchy one because we love football, and I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little bit of a hypocrite. I love to watch a good football game. I'm an Ohio State Buckeye. I get excited when they're gonna win a championship. So I'm a little bit of hypocritical in that category because I love to watch football, but I wouldn't let my son play football. I'd probably have my son do some sport that's dominated by white people so he could be the greatest on earth. I'd have my son out there playing golf. I'd have my son out there playing lacrosse. I have my son out there playing tennis. John McEnroe actually said that if black men played tennis as much as we play basketball and football, we would take over the sport. Do you hear what I'm saying? That if black men, unfortunately, we all get pulled into basketball, football, and track, and maybe a little bit of baseball. But I'm telling you, if black males, if we started spreading out and picking some of these other sports that are less likely to give you brain damage, that are dominated by white people, I believe that we would take over those sports. All tennis is all about is being able to get around the court fast and jumping high and hitting the ball hard and being, and the quickness and all that. We got all of that. We got everything you need to be a great tennis player. We're born with that, right? So ultimately, what I'll say at the end of the day is this whole situation made me sad. And I really hate the idea that we would take little league kiddie football so serious that the parents would just devolve into a fight like that. I would really love to know the sequence of events that led to that occurring. I would love to know if there was a backstory that maybe it made it more significant than what it appears to be. Maybe they weren't fighting over football. Maybe they were fighting over something else. But at the end of the day, it's sad. It's ridiculous. And y'all can't act like you haven't seen it. You see that kind of unfortunate immaturity that's being heavily promoted amongst black men all throughout our society. I don't understand. I get it if you, like you think about the Will Smith situation. I get it if you understand why Will Smith wanted to slap Chris Rock. I get it if you even understand why Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. What I don't get is when you shame a man who says, maybe that whole situation could have been resolved without Will Smith throwing away his whole entire career. Maybe that situation could have been dealt with those two talking it out backstage. Maybe that situation could have been dealt with in a scenario that didn't involve the possibility of a black man being hauled away in handcuffs in front of the entire world, because that's what they were supposed to do. They really should have taken Will Smith away in handcuffs, because you're not allowed to go slapping people just because they make you mad. I know your favorite rappers make you think you could be gangster, thug, and shoot and kill and all this all the time. Well, a lot of young guys, they don't learn that life ain't the movies. They don't learn that until it's too late. They don't learn that until they're sitting in front of a judge who gives them 30 years in prison and takes away their whole youth just like that. And I'd say this because, I mean, in fact, how many of y'all know? Give me a yes or no. How many of you know? Let's just do a quick sample. How many of you know a black man who's been killed by another black man? How many of y'all know a black man who's been killed by another black man, particularly over something that was preventable if there had been like some conflict resolution skills at play? How many of y'all know a black man who's been killed by another black man? I had a good buddy named Greg Wilkins. He was my very best friend. He was shot in the head in front of his daughter in 1996, and the media didn't even care. They talked about some white lady who got killed the same day. They didn't even talk about my friend. I talk to his daughter all the time, and it breaks my heart. I get sad every time I think about it. Okay. Now let me ask you another question. How many of you know a black man who did a lot of years in prison over something that was totally stupid and preventable? How many of you know a black man who's done 10, 15, 20 years in prison? I'm going to raise my hand on that too. I had a lot of black men in my family that went to prison. I talked to a brother not too long ago who just got out after 30 years. 30 years ago, he went to the club. Something happened. Somebody got shot. He was in prison. By the time he got out of jail, his son was 31 years old. His newborn son was 31 years old. So what I'm saying to you is maybe we should, as a community, without waiting for white people's permission, decide to actually address that shit and fix it. Maybe we should do this without waiting for CNN to tell us to do it, or waiting for the Democratic Party to tell us that this is an important issue. Maybe we should maybe as men, especially, we should manifest our own power of God, the ability to manifest the reality we want to see, right? That's what football is all about. Football is about power. Power is, according to the book Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson, power is the ability to pursue your agenda despite the opposition of others. Nowhere in that book does it say that power is the ability to pursue your agenda with the white man's permission. It doesn't say that power is the ability to pursue your agenda with people clapping for you. It doesn't say power is the ability to pursue your agenda when they finally allow you to do what you want to do. No, power is when you go in there and you do what you want, what you say you're going to do. And I would say this, I would say that as men, we can control whatever we want to control. I believe that when you are committed to something, nobody can stop you. So what I'm saying to you is that as a community, as leaders of our community, leaders of our families, it's important for us to go ahead and just say, no, we're going to stop all this stuff. We're going to stop cheering on 40-something-year-old men who are acting like teenagers and say, no, you need to act like a grown-up now. We get it. I mean, 20 years ago, I understand why you would have done it that way. But now we're doing things different because the babies are more important than us. No, now we're going to understand that yeah, I get it. I get pumped up about little league football. I want to see my 9-year-old win a state championship too, but I'm only going to take it so far. There's a red line I'm not going to cross. I'm not going to get taken away in handcuffs in front of my 9-year-old or end up dead in front of him because you and I can't find some way as black men, as brothers, to work this situation out. Because I guarantee you that these two guys, Mike and Yaqub, Mike is dead. Yaqub is going to probably go to prison for a long time. So one's going to prison. The other one's dead. 2 fathers, 2 leaders, 2 role models in the community. Gone, both of them. I bet you anything. I bet you my last nickel that if these 2 guys were in different circumstances, they would have had a lot in common. They would have both been friends because both of them took the time to go mentor these precious young babies in the community. So it's not as if they were born to be sworn enemies. It's not like one's a Black Panther and the other one's a Klansman, right? It's not like one's a German, the other one's a Jew. No, they're pretty much the same. You know, if you look at Hickmon's picture, the poor brother who died, Mike Hickmon, you know, he looks like a football coach. He's a big, strong, burly dude. He probably played football, you know, probably won a championship or 2. I mean, this is Texas. You don't really get to do this kind of stuff unless you have a backstory where you've actually done your thing when you were in high school or whatever, right? And the same thing with Yaqub. This brother, his brother is in the NFL. The guy that killed him, his brother's in the NFL, and shouts out his older brother, the one who pulled the trigger. He shouts him out all the time as the guy who mentored him as he was getting to the NFL. So to me, these guys should have been friends. And I'm just trying to understand, how is it that y'all should have been friends, but somebody just got shot and murdered in front of a bunch of little children who are going to be scarred for life, who also are going to walk away believing that if somebody pisses you off or disrespects you, that you're supposed to just handle that situation however you got to handle it. You got to throw away your freedom in front of your family. You got to give your life in front of everybody. I don't think it's necessary. I get it. There are things you should go to war about. There's some things that are worth dying over. Youth football, unless there's something about this story I'm not aware of, youth football ain't on the list of things you're supposed to be dying over. Along with, that's right up there with dying over a block that don't even belong to you, where you a renter on the block and don't own no property in that neighborhood, but you trying to die over the block that you don't even own. All that right there, to me, is the type of stuff we got to grow past as Black people. And I think this situation, Mike, in my view, to make his death worth something to the community, to make his death beneficial to somebody, to make sure he didn't die in vain, I'm hoping that everybody in here will give me a verbal yes in the chat to confirm that you are going to go and talk to young people about conflict resolution, that you're going to talk to your kids about how to resolve disputes in a way that turns your enemy into your friend instead of making your enemy into a bigger enemy. I would like a verbal yes from everybody in here who's I don't want you to just listen to the podcast and say that's right. Wait, preach, boys. I appreciate all that. Thank you. But I really want to know that you're going to take action, because this is our community. This is our hood. This is like in football. They say this is our house. This community is our house. So in my house, I'm going to make the damn rules. So in our house as a community, we need to be the ones who determine what the future of our children looks like. It ain't going to look like this. So thank you guys for listening. I'm going to go ahead and shut it down for today. It was wonderful talking to you, and I wish we could be talking under better circumstances. I wish the very best to Mike Hickmon and his family. My heart goes out to them. Also, even Yaqub Talib, I'm sure his family's heartbroken also. And again, all the facts are not out. So I'm not assuming that he's a bad person or that he's automatically guilty. There is a court, there's a procedure in the court of law that will determine all of this. All I can say is at the end of the day, this really makes me sad. And I'm really most sad for the children, not the grown men who were fighting. I'm more sad for the children who had to watch all this because now they're officially traumatized. It's time for us to stop traumatizing our children. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. It was wonderful talking to you. My Twitter is Dr. Boyce Watkins 1. Don't forget the 1 at the end if you want to follow me on Twitter. Also, don't forget that tonight we're going to meet up and we're going to do that special event, and you can join for free. It's called How to Become a Millionaire with 5 minutes a month. And you can actually sign up at blackkeystogreatness.com and do a free membership in the Black Business School. And I will send you the link, or you can actually just text the word Boyce to 31996. You can get text alerts whenever we go live. And that's pretty much it, everybody. And by the way, I'll see you at the All Black National Convention, which happens in Charlotte, North Carolina, October 28th through the 30th. If you'd like to learn more about the convention, it's really, really great. Just go to boycewatkins.com. You can check it all out. All right, everybody, have a good day. God bless you. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.